Well, welcome back again, and as promised, we're continuing our series on the Yamamoto D-Shad. And last time I talked a little bit about, fishing this bait just as it is, just on a regular offset worm hook, and with no weight, throwing it out off the bank or for suspended fish or in deep water or shallow water, the backs of coves, pockets, up in the cover and things like that. And as good as that technique is, day in and day out, there's other things you can do with the D-Shad too. The thing with Yamamoto baits that they're so versatile, all the different baits that they have, you can fish them in a variety of different ways, endless combinations, endless rigging methods, and from 0 foot to 100 foot, it really doesn't matter. The D-Shad is just as versatile as everything else they've got. And there's some things that I kind of like to do with this bait other than just fishing it by itself, in a standalone fashion. I like to combine it with other baits too to kind of make them a little bit more effective, something that the bass don't get a chance to see a whole lot. So what you can do is you can take things like a buzz bait, and you can take the skirt off of your buzz bait and then thread a D-Shad on the back. Gives it a much more streamlined visual look to the bass and a bigger profile. It also is something that the fish don't see a whole lot of. So if you've got a lake where a lot of guys fish buzz baits and they fish them all with the skirt on, you can go ahead and take the skirt off and put a D-Shad on the back and totally change the profile of your bait just by doing one simple little thing. This particular type of combination works really, really good on what I call ugly banks. This time of year, a lot of places around the country, the water is falling a little bit, and it's really taking a lot of that shoreline cover and making it, useless to fish because there's not enough of it in the water anymore. You've got a lot of bare banks and spots, especially like the backs of these little creeks or little pockets and places like that, straight banks on a river bend or places like that. And you got to cover a lot of water in a lot of these spots to find the little places where these bass are located. And they're up shallow and they're chasing shad and they're chasing bait fish around this time of year, feeding up for the winter. And those ugly banks are awesome to fish. Number one, because they don't get fished by a lot of guys. Everybody just passes them up. They figure, well, it doesn't look that good. There's really no fish there, so I'm not going to bother fishing it. That's the kind of place where I'm going to stop and fish. And just by changing up the profile of my buzzbait a little bit and putting a D-Shad on the back, I'm able to give the fish a little bit something that they don't normally see, and take advantage of that aspect a little bit. So ugly banks, awesome place to cover a lot of water and throw a buzzbait with a D-Shad on the back of it. And you can take virtually any one of their baits, any one of the colors, and match it up, contrast things with your buzzbait a little bit. A black buzzbait and a white buzzbait are my two favorite colors, but chartreuse or chartreuse and white, or even a green pumpkin skirt buzzbait works pretty awesome too. So match your colors and try some different combinations and see what works best for you. But that's an awesome technique for catching them when they get really shallow. The other thing that I like to do, and this is a tip that works everywhere, but in particular some of the lakes that have a lot of lily pads and grass on them, this time of year that grass and the lily pads are starting to die off, and what you get left with is kind of some lily pad beds or grass beds with just kind of stems and roots coming up. And a lot of guys think that the fish do not get around that type of stuff. I'm here to tell you that's not the case. It's probably one of the best patterns for fishing in late fall, when the water starts getting cold and that vegetation starts to die off and you're left with just the stems. From late fall into early spring, places all throughout Florida, Alabama, Lake Eufaula is an awesome place to fish this technique. We had a tournament years ago, late fall, and that was the predominant pattern. The fish were all up in those in backs of those pockets and those bays that had lily pads and grass in it, and the grass was dying, and all that was left was just the stems. And one of the key ways to catch them was with a vibrating jig or a chatterbait type of lure. And a lot of guys were fishing, little twin tails and little grubs and things like that. And an awesome way to really change the profile of your bait is to take one of these D-Shads and put it on the back. And you can match it up nice. This is a green pumpkin vibrating jig with a green pumpkin D-Shad on the back. Another one of my real favorite colors is becoming this smoke with red and black flake. It's kind of a real neutral color. It's really, really good for clear water, and it works good in stained water too. It shows up a lot in a variety of different water conditions. The midnight color, can't go wrong with that. Awesome color no matter where you go. And the other one, which is Smoke Shad, another one of my favorite colors too. It's got a little pearl bottom and kind of a smoke shad top, so you can really match the profile and the color of the bait fish with that. But fishing that lipless, chattering, vibrating jig with a D-Shad on the back changes the profile totally of this bait. It elongates it a little bit, makes it a little bit bulkier. It lets you wind it actually a little bit slower through the water, which I think is one of the keys for, effectively fishing one of these vibrating jigs. The slower you can wind this thing, the more bites you're going to get, and the better the hookup ratio is going to be. One of the problems with fishing one of these vibrating jigs a lot of times is guys wind them too fast, and it really makes that bait swivel wildly from side to side, and I think a lot of times the fish don't get it as well as they could. So slow down your retrieve, try a D-Shad on the back of some of these baits, and you'll catch more fish this fall and this spring. We're going to continue and do some more stuff. Probably the next series is going to be on the another new bait that Yamamoto's got called the Hula Swimmer. If you guys want to check that out in the meantime, check out InsideLine.net. They've got a ton of great articles and stories and things that you can get on there and read about. And then their website is www.bytes.com. You can check out all the different baits they've got. I'm Mike DelVisco. I'll see you next time here. Get out there and catch some fish while the weather's still nice. I'll see you next time.
If you're a hardcore bass pro or just a weekend warrior, call us or log in to get the latest products. Our entire staff is made up of fanatical bass anglers. We have one of the largest inventories in the nation. So when you absolutely gotta have it, shop Bass Tackle Depot, where the pros shop. 1-800-591-7171 or BassTackleDepot.com 24 hours a day.